Welcome along to 98 Not Out. Today we are happy to announce the cricket season in England is well underway, and with round one of the county championships games complete, thought it's a good time to catch up with my good mate Don Topley and let's find out what his thoughts are. Remember, if you like this content, give it a like, subscribe, tell your friends, and let's get into it. Welcome to 98 Not Out, a friendly face of Mr. Don Topley. Don, how are you?
Very good, thank you, Darren. I hope you are too, because it's the start of the cricket season.
It is. All the anticipation, those long winter nights, the preparation, the buying of a bit of new kit, maybe some new boots, a new grip for your favourite bat, and now is the time to put it into action. The club season starts this weekend, but the counties are underway. So I thought we'd just have a catch up about what we've seen so far. So I'm quite happy for you to lead this one. So let's look at Division 1, all games complete. So take it away.
Well, in the first division, Kent and Northants played at Canterbury. And strangely enough, if I had to nominate two who might struggle in Division 1, it would be Kent and Northants. So if you want to call it, for me, it would be a relegation battle. But Kent dominated this. And to be brutally honest, it was Northants' first innings of 117 all out. And can I just bring back my old captain, Keith Fletcher? In 4-day cricket, he said, when he was coach of Essex, he said, you only have to bowl the opposition out cheaply once. And that was Northants' first innings. From there onwards, they were chasing the game and they lost basically quite easily in the end. And Kent will enjoy taking all those points. Northants will be worried already. So that was the first game. In the second game of Division 1, Lancashire, runners-up, were hosting the mighty Surrey, champions from last year. Listen, it was played on a really good deck. Neither side could force the victory. Surrey dominated. But look, if I feel a bit awkward about this one, maybe, just maybe, whilst the match was drawn, Surrey declared a little bit too late. Ben Folkes got runs, tremendous to see, because they will continue with that argument. Will it be Folkes? Will it be Bairstow keeping wicket? But Folkes got 100 in this game, so I think he's hit form straight away. The Folkes-Bairstow issue might be determined, rightly or wrongly, by whether Ben Stokes can bowl. So we wait with bated breath and interest on how he bowls in the IPL, and when he comes back to England, how his knees are. But Surrey couldn't force the victory and only came home with a draw. Perhaps they batted too long.
And it was good to see this game carried on Sky for everyone to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it is. It's great to give it the profile. Of course, every game, every county and every competition is also free on the internet, courtesy of BBC. But Sky did cover this game in their Sky Cricket. So that was also good to see.
This declaration thing, is this a factor, do you think, of this new point system? I mean, I agree with you. I think Surrey did leave it a bit too late. But did they just sort of think that they could have probably skiddled Lancashire? Well, obviously they did if they declared. But yeah. Is that declaration a factor of the new point system?
Yes and no. At the end of the day, you're technically not getting any more points for a win. And once again, as you've heard me say, if you play 8, draw 8, lose 8, you come nowhere in the championship. If you lose 12 and win 12, as we used to say years ago, you win it. So look, you've got to still thinking about how to force the win. There are slightly less points for the draw, but the bonus points reference batting obviously only start at 250 as opposed to 200. But when you're getting that far ahead, you're eating into the time to bowl the opposition out. That is my primary concern.
Okay, down to HQ where you were on duty.
Yeah, 2 days duty, beautiful, loved it. Lords looked fantastic. I'm going to say it was a pretty good cricket wicket at Lords. Essex lost the toss, but won the game. They had to bat early doors on 11 o'clock day one. Got off to a nice start. Maybe, I'm being honest here, brutal. Maybe Middlesex only bowled well in patches. I think when they look back, they will be disappointed with the way they bowled on day one. Bowled very well day two to actually bowl Essex out. But Porter and Cook showed them how to bowl with a new ball in both innings. And Middlesex's top order, I can't tell you exactly, but I'll be surprised if Middlesex's top order made 10 if you combined both of their innings. That tells the story. Essex bowled beautifully. Palmer contributed. I think Essex fielded pretty well as well. And they certainly came home. And Middlesex's tail was firmly between their legs, as was Hampshire and Nottinghamshire. Again, and like Middlesex, Nottinghamshire were newly promoted and they had their tail between their legs. And of course, the reason that they've got a great bowling lineup, and again, Nottinghamshire struggled with the bat a bit. And to be fair, they got beaten up in 3 days. And, you know, Hampshire bat reasonably competitively well. Got some young batters as well as James Vince and Liam Dawson, etc. But they're a good all-round side. And Hampshire play Holders Surrey next week at the Oval. But the one game I'm failed to mention at the moment is the one at Taunton, which didn't start on day one. And look, I'm being a little bit honest here. It's very disappointing to see the outfield. There are some trying to defend the circumstances that they've had a lot of rain down there. Listen, the outfield was redone, reseeded, whatever they did down the Troscothic end, but it hasn't repaired, it hasn't grown. It was a cold or dry February and a wet March, but I am concerned that any amount of rain that falls around the Taunton area, that muddy. The only thing missing is Francis Lee with a football and marking a penalty spot. It resembles
the baseball ground in Old Money.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. You remember that. So there is a little bit of controversy down there, because if that damaged area or the area that hasn't grown gets wet, it's a quagmire. End of. So it becomes dangerous, which is quite disappointing. But listen, some might suggest that the day they didn't play because of the outfield saved Somerset, because Warwickshire dominated that game as well. And in the third innings, or Somerset's second innings, they were in a spot of trouble, but did bat well to get out of trouble. But remember, it was only a 3-day game. So day one didn't happen, and that ultimately saved Somerset.
Yeah, you're right. It wasn't the warmest of starts to the season, and I think we were spoiled by the summer we had last year. But yeah, I mean, everyone seemed to battle with the weather and get games on, so commendable to everyone for doing that. I know it's only round one, but there's lots of positives to be taken. Dan Lawrence's ton for Essex, Ben Folkes' ton, as you said, the Essex seams. I'm a bit curious as to why Essex have gone for an overseas bowler when maybe an overseas bat might have been a better idea.
Yeah, interesting one. Yeah. No, listen, Doug Bracewell, is an experienced, he's a really decent cricketer. Is he really what Essex need? Look, I think choosing an overseas, and we've seen it, Neil Wagner went up to Yorkshire and has not coming because of, I think it's an injury. We're seeing Northamptonshire change pros. They're going to get 2 Australians for their championship cricket. Um, we saw Hanscom come recently to Leicestershire. Kent minus an overseas player. I think really with the, not just the IPL, with all the franchises that are going on in the world, overseas cricketers don't necessarily have to come over and ply their trade here anymore. They can earn a better financial gig for less work somewhere else. And this is this great debate about trying to make sure county cricket remains relevant in today's society. So I understand Anthony McGrath, Tom Wesley having challenges to find the very right overseas player. Doug Bracewell's a good cricketer, but probably if I was analysing the as an opposition with Essex, I would say Essex's bowlers are very good, but they're all quite the samey.
Yeah.
It would have been nice to have a bowler, if they're going to go for a bowler, that was a bit different to the others. Or, as you highlighted, I did think that they might be interested in a batsman because batting was a little bit light last year. In reality, Dan Lawrence has started the season. He played really nicely.
Yeah.
But it's like taxis. He's in the back of the queue. There is Harry Brook. There's Ollie Pope. Is he going to find himself required during the Ashes for England? So therefore, if he was, he wouldn't be in the Essex side. But I'm sorry to say he might be a little bit down that pecking order.
Yeah, exactly. And it is an Ashes series. We'll talk about that just in a second. It's thick and fast now, cricket. And we've got the next round starting on Thursday this week. There's some mouth-watering fixtures with Essex and Surrey playing their first home games.
Yes.
Expecting good crowds at both Chelmsford and the Oval, with Lancashire visiting Essex and Hampshire coming to Surrey. Lots to look forward to. Those are my 2 standout fixtures. Have you got any thoughts on what else? We've got Northants, Middlesex.
Yeah, Middlesex, I think, are up at Northants, aren't they?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And the other fixtures?
Nottinghamshire hosts Somerset, and then Kent go to Edgbaston to play Warwickshire.
Yeah, interesting. Really, I think Notts Somerset will be quite a tasty fixture too. Somerset or Notts are going to be quite strong. They've got a decent set of bowlers, and generally speaking, Nottinghamshire swings and it does a little bit. And I think they're going to give a better outing than they did at the Ageas Bowl last week in their 3-day defeat. I think Nottinghamshire will be a good fixture for Somerset. I think the 4 you've picked out in terms of Essex, Lancashire, Surrey, Hampshire, I do think the winning championship county will come from one of those 4. But last year, I was a little bit more sure that Surrey would do well. I thought Essex would do well. Their batting let them down a little bit. I think the champion county will come from one of those 4, but I really am struggling this year to decipher who is the standout team. I don't think it will be Surrey. I think Surrey will challenge, but I don't think Surrey are nailed on to retain the championship. They're going to be missing quite a number of cricketers. Overton, there's Curran, there's Topley. Once they lose, they won't have both the other Curran. Sam Curran is going to probably be involved in the squad for test matches. They're going to lose him. You're also going to lose Pope. You could possibly lose Folks. I just don't know if they will be as strong throughout the whole of the summer. They're going to be missing a lot of cricketers. We wait and see. Hampshire have got a good bowling unit. We know that. I do think Essex, as long as they don't miss Simon Harmer too much with any international cricket during the course of the summer, that's quite key. We will see. And, you know, we're going to have Alistair Cook. Last year, he scored 4 of the 10 tons, I think Essex scored. Brown scored 2, and there were lots of other lads who scored 1. But we need a better return from the middle order. So we will see. It's going to be a cracking game at Essex, Lancashire, and Surrey, Hampshire. But beware, I do not think we're going to enjoy as much good weather as we did last.
No, we were spoiled last year. I don't think there was an hour lost to bad weather.
Or 3 of the 4 days this week, which were played in delightful sunshine.
Yeah. Hugh Turberville and the Cricketer have nailed their colours to the mast very early in their April edition, and they're touting Lancashire for glory this year. They are one of those that you mentioned will be in the running. Top 2, do you think?
Yeah, they've been the perennial bridesmaid, haven't they, just recently? Look, they're a good outfit. Generally speaking, they play on terrific wickets up there. But I really cannot, Darren, I'm struggling this year to give you my standout favourite.
Yeah.
I'm struggling this year. I think it's going to be a close run race. And you might find September weather plays a part in deciding who wins it. So may I don't often, but with your permission, may I remain on the fence and gain a few splinters?
All right, let's have a look at Division 2. One standout performance there from one of the more unfashionable counties of the 18, Leicestershire, who pulled off a stunning victory up at Headingley to beat Yorkshire, with a former Essex player, Rishi Patel, getting his maiden county 100.
Listen, he's a good cricketer. And it was Essex's depth in cricketer was the real reason why he left. We liked him. They liked him. But there was an embarrassment of riches, and he needed to play. And I was so pleased to see he got his maiden century, and not just a maiden century in a winning Leicestershire for the first time at Headingley for something like close to 120 years.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is that long. Yeah.
Something like that, which is phenomenal. Look, I think we all know it's a new era at Otis Gibson's and Darren Goff's Yorkshire, and we wish them the best. But my word, they declared, set them 390, and Leicestershire went and got it. Any side that bats in the 4th innings and gets 390 deserves to win. So that was a mighty performance by a side that's not used to winning. So I would expect them to gain a lot of confidence, but I also felt for Yorkshire as well. But listen, well done, Leicestershire.
Yeah, great times to be a Leicestershire fan, isn't it? With the ground development plans look amazing. They seem to have
lovely blue sky thoughts. Come on, is that 60 million? Where is Leicestershire going to get 60 million to develop that ground, which basically is a old-fashioned housing all around it? Listen, that story, that's very much a blue sky thought. Lovely. I'm not sure it's going to happen.
You're not saying by any means shades of Essex from 10 years ago or so, when there were the original plans for the Essex, the Chelmsford development was put forward?
I wouldn't possibly like to comment. Leicestershire, unless they find somebody who can donate 60 million, I don't think it'll happen.
Well, haven't they got a benefactor now who was at Huddersfield Town Football Club previously or something like that?
I'm going to be honest, I don't know.
There is a story there. We talked about it on the programme a few weeks ago, and someone did tell us that they've got someone from a footballing background. I'm pretty sure it's Huddersfield Town.
Really, they
who-
don't sound a particularly rich club, Huddersfield Town, to me. The other side of the coin is I do see private investment coming into county cricket in due course, whether it be through benefactors or whether it comes through the private selling of the 100 franchises. All I know is Huddersfield are not particularly a wealthy club and not particularly successful. But look, the only two private investors I'm sort of aware, and they're very much chalk and cheese, is Rod Bransgrove at Hampshire. As his wife used to say, that the Aegeus Bowl was his allotment in later and the other person was Colin Graves, and that listen, his loan, whilst it was significant, continues to cause a little bit of heartache, doesn't it?
Yeah. We've been
So
joined by.
there we go. So looking at some of the other, if I could mention this as a result, Unfashionable Worcester.
Yeah.
Worcester were hosted by Derbyshire. Derbyshire twice got over 300. So Mickey Arthur will partly be pleased with that. But Worcestershire went and got 473. So there were arrears. They bowled them out, and Worcestershire bowled Derbyshire out, needed about 190 and got it for 2. So it would suggest to me Derbyshire didn't bowl so well at times. Mickey Arthur will have a bit of honest head scratching, and Derbyshire lost. So that won't please Mickey or the 800 odd members at Derbyshire. The other fixture down in Glamorgan was interesting as well. They had a problem with the cover, I gather, on day one. They started late because they have this huge hover cover, which Lords has one as well, and I think Old Trafford has one, but it broke down on the way off the wicket, and so they had to wait, and start was delayed again until they could get something to pull the wretched thing off. So anyway, it didn't affect. I don't think it affected the game or the results. It was a match drawn where Glamorgan dominated, and then Gloucestershire saved the day towards their third innings. So that was quite significant. Sussex defeated Durham. That went as a close encounter. Sussex won it by just 2 wickets. It went the full 4 days, and I'm led to believe from the pictures I've seen that there was it's a small ground, but there was a great crowd there.
Yeah,
there was,
I saw that.
Look, that's brilliant. If there was 2,000 or 3,000, that will look about half full, and that's great to hear, because when you get 2,000 or 3,000 at Old Trafford, it doesn't look particularly busy at all. But when it's at Chelmsford or when it's at Hove or Taunton, it's cracking to see. So well played, Sussex. Sussex, Derby, Worcester and Leicester have been short of wins over the last few years. And that's basically it. We've covered the games in Division 2. And listen, we can't not mention it, because we, Darren and myself, we love cricket. What a couple of games in the IPL have we had? We had the RCB today losing off the last ball, and yesterday we had that over of 31.
Yeah, 5 sixes.
KKR smashed it in the last over. They got 31 and went home with the winnings. Unbelievable. 2 brilliant games of cricket. This week, what with county cricket and something like those 2 IPL games, cricket just keeps giving. And it just re-illustrates how wonderful and special our game of cricket really is.
Now, speaking of the IPL, while I've got you, I must ask for news on Reece after making a very impressive performance in his first game, but sadly injured his shoulder. Have you got any update for us on his condition and his likely return?
Yeah. We were watching that live downstairs. Both Mum and me were a bit. There was a deathly hush when he went down,
Yeah,
and then an expletive. Um, yeah, it looked. If you look, it wasn't his body letting him down. It was almost like a freak accident,
yeah, that's
like
right. The
when
turf.
he stood on the boundary, the massive 200 mil boundary. They call it the boundary marker.
Yeah, they're ridiculously large now.
Yeah, well, at the IPL, his knee got stuck. If you look like Simon Jones, I'm pleased that there was no issues with his knee, but he's such a big unit. His knee went into the floor, kicked out a huge turf as his knee got stuck, and then he collapsed on his shoulder and unfortunately dislocated. It was put back in the dressing room, but he has just a hairline fracture in the humerus, and his rotator cuff needs attention. Rotator cuffs are horrible injuries. It's not his throwing or bowling arm, but it's very important into the mobility of your shoulder. So on Wednesday, he will be attending London and he will have an operation on Wednesday. And we don't know the outcome because it's one of these things, he'll be ready when he's ready. He can stay fit, he can cycle, he'll be able to run once he gets over the operation. But it's simple keyhole, but we'll have to wait and see. It'll be a bit touch and go about the T20 blast.
Yeah, I mean, he's had as you say, it's not necessarily his body, or it's just luck, isn't it? You know, sort of away with England treading on that. What is it with Topley's and putting their foot on the rope? Is it a family tradition?
Yeah, no. Well, that one in Australia, interesting. You say that. He went out with Chris Jordan and they were practicing prior to that World Cup practice match. They were practicing duo boundary catches. And, listen, that is an established part of the coach's philosophy for boundary catching. So they practice it. So he went out early and they were doing it. Chris Jordan did one, Reece's turn, he did one. And then the next time he did it, he had his bowling boots on because he was going to bowl in due course after fielding practice. And the ball was hit over the Toblerone. He jumped, he caught it, he came down, his studs got caught in the rubber Toblerone, which is, as I say, is 200 mil one side, 200 mil the other side on the boundary with adverts all over them for TV purposes. So all I'm saying to you, and I'm presenting the case, my lord, is if the boundary Toblerones are getting bigger for TV purposes and the players are practicing more catches over them, it's only a matter of time before somebody has an issue with the hurdle. And that is my issue. They're getting bigger. We're practicing more on them. And unfortunately, there we have it. Reece fell foul of that and missed the World Cup.
A great shame. A great shame. But we wish him well, and hopefully it'll be a straightforward visit to the doctor and a speedy recovery.
Thank you.
Where are you appearing at Chelmsford this week on comms?
No, I'm not. I might appear as a cricket fan at Chelmsford, but obviously with Reece's injury, I was flying to India on Tuesday.
Ah.
I was flying to India to watch 6 IPL games. How splendid was that? I was looking forward to a damn good curry for breakfast, lunch, and supper.
Yes.
I love going there. I really, really do. I like scratching the surface as a tourist, going out to visit different things. I research before I go. So I was going to Bangalore and then up to Mahali Chandigarh over the course of 2 to 3 weeks. I was going to have an absolute ball, but that's not going to happen this year now. Maybe next year.
And I must ask, how's the foot? Because you yourself had a terrible experience last year, dancing on a rock in Barbados, I'm reliably informed, and
not
an
under
injury.
not under the influence of alcohol, I might add. None at all. No Bayesian rum, no St. Nicholas, nothing like that. No, I was actually quite bad. Thank you for asking. I'm pleased to report that I did it in February. 7 months later, in sort of August, September, I'm very pleased to confirm that I was given a full cleaner bill of health, and I haven't lost my toe. The last person that lost a toe in the West Indies was Fred Titmus.
Ah.
Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
No? There's your prep for this week, Darren. I want you to research that one.
I will. I will look into that, and I will post the details on our Twitter.
It's a great story, that Fred Titmus, quite a long time ago. But I'm in good health. I don't know if you saw recently that the Suffolk and Norfolk over 75s have combined to play an invitation side over 75s at Stowmarket up in Suffolk. And I'm very pleased to tell you I've got a good 16 years to wait before I make my debut.
Counting down the days. Mind you, the last time I saw you playing anywhere was at Lord's and bowling out youngster Reece Topley, and then removing your shirt and wheeling off in celebration. Have you still got it?
True, that's true. Listen, the family have got three great memories about Lord's. Obviously, I took a catch there once when I was completely unknown. And then obviously Reece last year, as I went back to Lord's.
But hang on a second, bit of context here, Don. You're very modest about that, but that was in that legendary 84 test where you came on as a substitute, and the catch was Bob Willis bowling at Malcolm Marshall. Was Malcolm Marshall one-handed in that game? Was that the game?
No, he was one at Headingley, I think. No, he was two-handed. He hooked it top edge, and I was down at the old mound stand. But obviously, Reece last year took 6 for 24 against India and won the game, which was a wonderful day for mum, dad, and his sister. And then you're going back. So he's got some good memories. He's got the memory as well. At the age of, I can't remember what I was, 54, 56, but I played against Reece on the nursery ground.
Yeah.
It was one of the years he had a bad back, stress fracture of the back, so he played as a batsman. And yes, I did bowl him out, and I did have a picture of that dismissal made into a Christmas card, birthday card, and a card for him. So he technically is my last ever international wicket. Can I say that?
I think you can. I think you can. I've seen it. I'll back it up.
Yeah. Very, very funny occasion. So he's got some interesting memories of Lord's, as I have. And just going back this week, on the 2 days I was working with the BBC, do you know what? The hairs still stand up when I walk through any of the gates and at the pavilion. When I just love the place. I have, and like you, as an MCC member, we occasionally frequent it, and it's a great honour every time I walk there. Love it.
I agree completely, and always wear socks. Remember that. Always wear socks. None of this looking trendy with your loafers and your skinny chinos.
Well, you're an Essex trendy man. No, it was the following Christmas I sent you socks, didn't I?
I've still got them. They're lovely.
Lovely.
Well, great to catch up, Don. Really lovely. And thank you so much for your thoughts on round one of the county championship. I think it's going to be a great season. I think it's all to play for a lot of teams. And I think you're absolutely bang on the money. The weather will be a factor this year where it wasn't at all last year. And there's lots to look forward to. I'm sure later on this summer we'll catch up and talk about international cricket, franchise cricket, blast, whatever. There's so much going on, and we look forward to it. But Don Topley, formerly of Essex, one time of Zimbabwe, and currently with the BBC on the Essex commentary. A pleasure talking to you as always, and many thanks for joining us.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you.